Welcome. I suggest if you have allergies or you may break out in hives or something like this, you get to keep these, okay? That you go ahead and put your gloves on and then put your sleeve on. And these are yours to keep. And I find these very, very helpful in the garden because I'm prone to allergies. Boy, what a pickle I'm in, right? So we have different kinds of peppers here in the hoop house. So let me tell you about this. This hoop house, you do not have gloves? Here. Oh, I didn't get one. You didn't get one? Here.
It's okay.
A few years ago, we began partnering with Langston University. Langston University actually brought a hoop house out here, and they actually put in our plasticulture. About 5 years ago, we were introduced to it. Never had done it. We've been married 44 and a half years, and we had never done anything like this before. But they brought a little spit, shine, and polish to our country way of doing things. And so we became students of not only Langston, they partnered with the Noble Research Institute, with OSU Extension, and with Tulsa University. And they brought a hoop house out. Listen, after about 18 months, that hoop house, the winds in Oklahoma, took that hoop house and it went all the way over into the pond. What an experience. And so then they brought this one out. Now this is very, very basic, kind of antiquated, but we've got two more hoop houses that are coming. A 96-foot one that will go on this side, and we have another 56-foot one that will go on the other side of the cucumber patch. So when I started in this hoop house, I actually did not know what I was doing. Can you imagine filling all of these buckets up completely full with soil? I was excited. But then after I got it full filled with soil, I couldn't move the bucket. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying. But what it did do was teach me how to compost. I was able to use the soil the next season, and it turned out to be really, really lovely. We have already turned over quite a bit in here, and we're getting this prepared for the fall. Some of this stuff is going because the weather changed. You know, our season stopped when it got hot. So I just want to give you a quick lesson about basil. And I'm telling you, you go in here, be careful with these snippers. See that, y'all? These are just little ones. I didn't get you the kind with the handle and all of that. Just little snippers. When you go in with the peppers, I want you, if you get a bell pepper, cut the bell pepper right here at the stem. And add a little force to it because these are just snippers, okay? Be careful. However, when you come this way, do not cut anything down through here. All this is still growing. I guess you could take a snippet off of the onion, but I would like for you to let it keep growing. Basil. On the basil, is anybody really familiar with basil? Basil can keep going for a long time. Okay, the more you clip it down, the more it'll keep growing. When it gets really so high and you start getting these things on your basil, this little flower at the very top, what you need to do is go down to the base of the stem and count 3 sections up. 1, 2, 3, and this is where I should cut. This is where I should cut to keep it growing. Did everybody see that? Everybody hear that? Now, for this demonstration today, I literally, if you're not going to eat this much basil, don't cut it and waste it, okay? If you give it to me, if you cut it, but you're not going to use it, give it back to me, I dehydrate this. I make my own herbs and seasonings and concoctions, okay, out of these things. This is spearmint. Spearmint is somewhat similar. Spearmint is really, really good for you. Out of spearmint, and usually what I do, spearmint, oregano, parsley, is that I get from the bottom. I start here at the bottom, and this is where I cut. So if you want spearmint, just come down to the bottom, go to the perimeter, and remember, we have 2 more groups after you. And remember, when your basket is full, that's it, okay? Spearmint is good for tea. Dehydrated, hanging upside down, or dehydrated in a dehydrator, and you can make tea out of this. It's absolutely wonderful. These peppers here, there are plenty of them, but you have to look good. You have to really look. This pepper here, poblano, serrano, it's hot. So make sure you have your gloves on, okay? Get what you want. You're free to have what it is you want. The only thing that I ask you not to cut are these right here. They're still growing for me, but they're beautiful, aren't they?
What are
They're peppers, just a different variety, and I'm really not sure. And honestly, because it surprised me. It was in a group of seeds that I ordered. And when you have people working for you and they're supposed to be labeling along the way and it doesn't happen, you just kind of like, well, we'll see when it gets there, right? Okay, so we have several bell peppers, banana peppers, and then we have a little bit of okra. Now, you see all of that okra over there, wondering why I planted okra. It's always good to have something in two places. If it doesn't do well over there, let's see what it does in a hoop house. So I put these two here, and I literally did not cut anything off of these until 3 days ago. And I trimmed it all the way up. It was full. I trimmed it all the way up. I had okra like this. It was ridiculous. Oh, I cut myself. So y'all be careful. But you can get okra off of here if you want.
Is this the okra that grows off that plant that gets real long and you can still eat it? Have you seen? Do you have any of
I have those over there. The tallest one over there gets real long and thin.
Yeah.
That one's over there, and it still stays tender.
Yeah.
But this particular, this is just
the spineless?
this is spineless Clemson. Yeah. When you cut it, it will. If it gets too big, it's just not good for anything. It's just stemmy. Okay. So have at it. Everybody, go ahead and have at it. Get what you want. Take your fill. When I got ready to turn this over, all of the hemp mulch came down, and we're walking on it now. Okay. I have hemp mulch on the ground, and then I put cardboard over that. Then I have straw over that. So next season, where we are walking, that will actually be my row. I will have 3 rows of plastic, but this ground will be nice and fertile. This hemp mulch, it's good stuff. This plasticulture is not compostable. So next year when we put in, and this can go 2 to 3 years, but next year when we put in, we will actually get compostable plasticulture. So that way it just goes into the ground. We can just till it under and life is fine. Don't have to miss a beat. Don't have to pull it up. Don't have to worry about disposal or any of that. So outside of here, these first 2 rows, they were planted with different zucchini plants and different squashes. We had Beauregard, we had acorn, we had zucchini, and we had yellow squash. I plant them in different directions. I kind of do a throwaway section where the squash bugs are going to get them, and then I have some somewhere else where it takes them a little longer to get to. And then I plant the squash in succession so that like 3 weeks after I plant the first one, then I'll go back and plant some more. And it keeps growing. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Oh, you can, I meant to put that on silent. You can take pictures out here as much as you want, but I would ask that, and you can take pictures outside of the market, but I would ask that you not take pictures inside the market. What you're going to see in there is just all preliminary. It's just staged for the grand opening that's going to happen next month, okay? Any questions?
You said this will last 2 or 3 years, this plastic?
It does if you're careful with it.
So will next year, you said these where you're walking will be your rows. Will you pick that plastic up?
This is coming, not this one. This is actually coming out.
It's coming out.
It's coming out because I'm totally adverse to the fact, I've done this now like 5 years, and I don't like having to pick up the plastic.
Right.
So this is going to be gone. It's going to be gone, and we're going with compostable. It costs a little more, but it's certainly worth
How
it.
expensive is it?
Well, Langston, that's part of my partnership. They provided it. So in partnerships, the idea is not for them to sustain you.
Right.
Okay? They get you started. They give you the information, and then it's up to you to take the ball and run with it. So they used to bring out the plasticulture and workers. They would bring out sweet potato slips, cantaloupe plants, and watermelon plants. Well, that went for 3 years. After that 3rd year, they took me off the pacifier, okay? So I had to get my own workers. Got it? And so that meant I had to pay something, and I had to solicit, and I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to call on neighbors because that's what you do, and that's how you build your community. This cannot be done by yourself. Now, it's me and my husband, y'all. and we're in our mid-60s. I really just said that. We are, and workers come when it's nice and cool and say, oh yes, I'll do this and I'll do that. But when that sun starts beating down and when the rain is pouring and when the snow falls, they are AWOL almost 90% of the time. So we just had our 12th grandchild this week. And so 2 minutes. So we have a little army of worker bees. And they love it. They love it. Some of it is volunteer. When they do come out, some of it's volunteer. We teach our young people, don't look to get paid for everything. All right? Service is sewing. Sewing means you get something back. But when I want them to work, really work, I do pay them. And we had 4 consistent workers over the summer. 4 out of 11 is not bad. Y'all, I'm almost batting 100. And they did really, really well. And our first grandchild to actually enroll in an ag class did so this year. Yes. So, hey, my husband is one of 7 children, and he's the only one doing this. One of 10 children. He's the 7th of 10, and he's the only one doing this. So I feel like we're batting 100. Everybody get what you want? Now remember, when it's full, you're done. Purple hull peas to me are rare because when I say rare, I mean you can get them in the store easily. But what I mean in growing, it's laborious. Okay, it isn't like it just keeps replenishing and keeps replenishing. So we charge a premium price for our, and you have to do that. We're pastors, so imagine the psychological shift that was required from us giving away everything. I just want to be a blessing. I just want to be. Well, when you teach people how to invest in what it is that they're getting, that's the biggest blessing that you can give. And so we teach how to give. If anybody wants to go through and get some purple hull peas, feel free. Now, when you come over here, we have 5 different varieties of okra.
So welcome, so glad you all could make it today. My name is Laura Koval and I own a business called Able Veg that sets up urban gardens in the Tulsa area. And I'm also the garden director with Tulsa Youth Works, so I get kids gardening out there. And I connected with Arnetta last year. I did classes for Agriculture in Action. Classes are kind of my jam. I teach 4-year-olds and I teach 80-something-year-olds too. But Agriculture in Action has done so much great community work, and programs like this are so imperative. When we're looking at the success of small farms or even backyard gardeners, we really need these types of organizations. It's really easy when you're gardening to spend a lot of money and get very discouraged. And just when you think things are going right, squash bugs move in, or we get hail, and so you need to pivot, and we have a great atmosphere in this area. We have a great climate for gardening, but we need to really take advantage of all of the other people who are here to help and support us. And Agriculture in Action has been doing just that, where they're trying to connect people in the community and provide resources to continue training, to help out. At YouthWorks, we're expanding our gardens by a few acres, and I'm overwhelmed right now, so I know I'll be reaching out to Arnetta and a lot of the other folks. I was talking to Lainey a moment ago to help me out too. So by all means, make connections today, exchange cards, start finding people who share your values of farming, because it's an important thing that we're all doing just by being here and supporting local agriculture. It's important for our economy in Oklahoma. And so we're all hoping that we can help you guys become kind of next level farmers as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And then I'll turn it over to Miss Lainey over here as well, who's going to give you some additional information.
Hey y'all, so I'm Lainey Porter. I work with Langston University. I'm an extension educator for the northeastern sector of the state. I cover about 20 counties at this point. However, I started this partnership with KCDS in 2018. I'm the founder of Healthy Oklahomans Nutrition Alliance. And at that time, I was a community-based organization that was working with Langston University. And Arnetta's class was, what was it called? Market gardening. And so we had a market gardening class. We met once a month. And so during that time, we learned how to not only grow all of this, but how to sell it at the market as well. And during that time, I was the Wagner Farmers Market Manager. And so I would come out here on Sundays, harvest everything in the garden, and take it to the Wagner Farmers Market. And let me tell y'all, I had never worked in a garden in my life. I come by way of agriculture through human development. So I believe everybody has the right to eat. And so whenever I was a community-based partner, my goal was to build bridges to healthy local food. And I didn't know that I would actually be that bridge. So during that time, the rows were set up a little differently, right? You learn a lot of things whenever you're preparing a garden, and sometimes that's the way the water flows. Literally. So that was the rainiest summer Oklahoma has had in a long time. I don't know if you guys remember when everything was flooded, the barge broke loose on the river. It was crazy. I can't tell you how many times this lovely dirt ate my boots, and I can't tell you how many times the cucumbers were flooded. However, during that time, it was also COVID. So the Cottons were running a food distribution box from their church, and it was a very busy time. When I say miles long lines every day, all the time. So they did not have any time to devote to the garden. And when you talk about one person maintaining a garden, it was a lot of work. Thank goodness for that partnership with Langston. Thank goodness for our partnership with OSU. During that market gardening class, they would come down. Josh definitely helped us dig some sweet potatoes, and pest management was something that we learned a lot about. Who knew orb weavers were such a great thing, and love okra, right? I don't know if you guys know what an orb weaver is, but it's a spider about this big, right? And they stay the whole summer. And they grow from about this to this and have babies, and it's beautiful, but you never know where they're gonna be. So you can't just stick your arm through the okra, and I don't know how many of you guys have picked okra in the hot summer, but it makes you itch. And I mean itch badly, right? That's why you guys have the lovely arm sleeves on. However, at that time, I did not know that. And so I would often show up at the market with like huge whelps all over my arms. And during that time, they released the first funding ever called CFAP. So that was for farmers who were supposed to sell somewhere, and could they make it to market. So thankfully I kept records for Miss Cotton during that time. I don't know how many of you guys farm, but the USDA, the rules are you only have to intend to sell $1,000 worth off your property in order to be classified as a farm. So thankfully during that record keeping time, I was able to make sure that Miss Cotton had that information, and she turned it in and was able to get funded for the stuff that did not sell at the market. And so that was amazing time, because as you spoke about with the economy, if you're gonna grow stuff, you have to have a place to sell it. And so one thing Miss Cotton has always had dreams of is the market, right? And so we called it, at that time, it was gonna be a farm stand. And she just wanted to be able to accept SNAP and make sure that everybody had access to food. And so really her dream, watching it come to fruition, has been amazing. It's, like I said, since 2018. Now she's a demonstration site for Langston University. She's the first demonstration site. And so what we'll do is there will be students here, there will be classes here, there will be goats and hair sheep and all kinds of great stuff coming soon. And part of the market is we'll have more canning classes. We've been at the Amish church quite a bit, making sure that she's reached out to 4-H's, different groups. I can't tell you how many classes have already been taught here and will continue to be taught here. So part of KCDS's mission is to continue that outreach expansion. And so one thing that we all know is if you don't have community partners, then you don't have a community, right? Like if the buy-in's not there, then neither are the people. And so really building that takes a foundation. And so thankfully with Langston and with other community-based organizations, Ms. Cotton has made that. And so if you guys are a community-based organization and or work with one, feel free to reach out to me. We have great partnership opportunities available with Langston. They just announced it yesterday. That there was an additional $2.5 million allocated to create more demonstration sites. So definitely reach out to us, and if you guys need any help with anything, just let me know.
Welcome to Have Some Coffee. You're eating her jalapeno jam. You're also eating basil and tomatoes from the garden, partnered with some fresh cheese. Okay. I think it's a great way to kind of give the,
I'd rather have it fried. Okay.
fried.
We took our okra and dipped it in the
Dip it in there.
jelly.
Yes, everybody was eating it like that. They were. So I didn't know it was a thing, but now I know because that's how people are liking it. But yes, I just want to say welcome to the farm. Welcome to our family farm. This is where I've grown up. I'm Amber. I'm Eric and Arnetta's middle daughter. I am 41, so many years here, and blood, sweat, and tears staked in that garden. My dad was trying to tell everyone, but before it was this operation, when I was growing up, we had that garden, but we also had, this was a pig barn here. It was a pig sty in the back. We're running cows, horses. That shop over there was for auto body. My dad painted and custom painted cars. So we kind of grew up with a mixture of things. But now we're here to this next generation. My oldest is 12, my youngest is 9. And I have 3 siblings, and they all have kids, 12 grandkids total now. And we all have a stake in this ground. My grandfather grew up, my dad was raised 4 miles north of here. So long time being here in this area, and this is gonna be our family store. So this store is gonna be comprised of and house our local vendors, our local produce, our actual produce from this farm, and try to partner with other farms around the area who may not have a resource or outlet to be able to sell farm to market. We can go to the farmer's market, which is what everyone typically does, but going to a farmer's market means you put up and you take down. And to have a place to point people, hey, my stuff is being sold in such an, over here off of 220 Road, that would be a blessing for a lot of farmers who want to sell all year round. We have a farmer who is right up the road, has fresh eggs. Now he has a place where he can sell his fresh eggs, and we're going to try to do that with other local farmers if they have something that they want to house in here or in the store. We want to partner with them to be able to do so. Okay, and my mother, as you can see, she cans, and she has other things outside of our produce that she produces as well. We don't have to wait for a state fair or farmer's market, and now we're able to just sell from just the store to the people around our area. So what does a family local business do, a family farm? It creates businesses that help to strengthen our community. I grew up here, but I moved away and I came back. So I lived in San Antonio for 7 years. I came back, and I came back because like I said, my blood, sweat, and tears is in this ground, and I have children, and I want them to understand the benefits of working hard, the benefits of seeing the harvest from your labor. Nowadays kids grow up, and if you grew up at a farm like this, you grow up and you don't come back, right? Because it's like, I've worked and I'm done. I'm done. I don't want any parts. But coming back to this and giving our next generation something to look forward to. Now, when they started building here, my nieces and nephews were already, how many hours can I work? When can we open and when can I start? Because they're looking for a way to now create and generate their own business. It helps our local economy. So like I said, we have other farmers around the area, and this gives them a place to be able to sell. Okay, and however they partner with my parents is just how they partner. It doesn't have to be we purchase their products. It can be they can just house their products here, and we can just take a percentage of what they put in here. Personalized customer service. I gave the example a while ago. We go to Sprouts, for certain things. But to be able to not to have to go to Sprouts or to Walmart every time I want something and I'm here locally, it gives people something that they can say is their own. This is my local store. This is where I go. And people are happy to support, not to have to drive all the way to Tulsa or Broken Arrow just to get something that's fresh or organic, right? And then it gives the community a stronger bond. So if I can partner with 5 or 6 of these farmers in this area, now my family is tied to their families, right? And so their products, like my niece, she makes jewelry. So now she has a place that she can sell her jewelry. This farmer has a place where he can sell his eggs. We have freezers. Maybe we want to purchase meat from other farmers around the area. They have a place that they can sell their meat. And then it's also just a way for us to all come together, right? I think that in today's economy, we have a lot of things that are labeled organic and labeled fresh and labeled what it is, but we all know the difference. And my dad has always said with me growing up, ain't nothing like a homegrown, but another homegrown, right? We know the taste. The taste is different. Does anyone have any questions about the store? I want to bring you guys over to the other side. It's
I'd like to Amber, know
sure.
who we have here and what they do.
Yeah. Who do we have? If we want to go around the room and say what
I
you.
work for TSET,
Okay.
the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. She's in Muskogee County, and
Okay.
we're in Lincoln County in Chandler.
Okay. Well, welcome. Glad to
David
have
has a
you.
community garden also
Oh, wow.
in Prague. That's where we live.
Prague. Nice to meet you, David.
So we're just a little spot to the professionals.
He's a professional. I'm not.
And we enjoy, we are interested in being USDA certified, so we got to go through all that to make sure we got quality products and consistency. So with neighbors and friends, like I say, down the road, it's got a lot of chickens, a lot of eggs. But then to put it before the community, there are some specs that you just got to follow. So we want to do that.
And we are just out of Wagner. We are Fragrant Forest Farms. So we have a pretty good sized farm, and we do vegetables and stuff, and we also do eggs, duck eggs, turkey eggs, chicken eggs. And we just opened, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. We're actually having our grand opening Saturday.
Yay.
Farmers Market Food Hub there in Wagner. If you guys are needing some vendors, I can get you some information from some of the vendors that we have.
Yeah.
They're really great. So it was really nice. My husband grew up with Arnetta, and he never one time told me that she farmed. Oh yeah, I'm a beekeeper, so I do.
Wow.
We do honey and stuff too.
Yeah, we want to talk to you.
As a matter of fact, if you want a couple of hives, they are wonderful for your garden.
Yes.
My garden is usually big and beautiful every year, and I chalk it up to my bees, because before I put my bees out there, it did not seem to flourish as well. So yeah, definitely whenever I found out that Arnetta was doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, because we'll have this, we've got the one in town and like I said, vendors, sharing vendors would be just a great
Great
thing.
partnership.
So yeah.
Well, my mom didn't grow up. So my mom grew up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
My dad grew up just 4 miles north of here. So she didn't start farming until I was probably 2 years old. So she's actually delved into it and taken it to obviously another level. Another level with everything she's doing. But just to see, like I was saying, you know, to give my children hope for something that can be theirs. My daughter, you know, she's whipping out the jewelry, and, you know, I have a place now to sell it and to give them a stake in this land and a stake in this area.
Well,
it's huge.
We are raising our 4-year-old granddaughter right now, and that little girl can go out there and tell you what's right to pick, what not to pick because it's not ready. She gathers eggs. She helps put the chickens up at night. I mean, and she's 4 years old, and she loves it.
And I love that for her. I love that for her. I can't tell you how many people, even now, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 years. But how many people I work alongside, and they ask me, you know, how do you come in here and you do this and that and that? And I'm like, this is work. You know, we're in a building with air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and coffee. So that's nice. And yes, we're clocking hours, but this right here, this is work. And this is where I cut my teeth. So I want you guys to come over here and just look at the other side of what they're doing. It's not finished. It's not finished, but it's coming together. The grand opening is going to be October 29th, okay? October 29th is the grand opening, and it'll all be finished in here, but it's coming together. They were all eating it raw, with the jam. Yes. Yes.
You gotta go try it.
But yeah.
Yes, that's what got us.
So hopefully this will be a good space for prep and a good space to house other products. And like as my dad has said, they have a refrigerated truck out there, so this isn't the only space to keep things, but it is very, very helpful.
It will be helpful as we process. Once we get set up, we can process, wash, and clean, and put it up, fresh. And then it's just a good place to, after the garden, just like it's picked, we go into the house with it. There's not enough space. It's sitting all over the place. So like this is kind of the big kitchen in one sense. And so we can prepare it, and then we can actually put it up. We may even do some canning. One of the goals is to get our youth interested. And so we have classes, USDA Langston, and TU is strong on the peppers and things. And so they're able to teach us and help us to teach the young people, because we want them to get a renewed energy about the farm life, the cows, the dirt, the growing. It's like you say with the 4-year-old. Well, if we introduce it to them or put it before them, they'll like it.
Yep.
Most likely they'll like it. And so they didn't like the chores, but they didn't like it.
But it's a part of who I am, and I love it. Like I came back to it. I did.
When we started here, we had the chickens, the hogs, the whole bit, and gathering eggs, and we did the meat thing, and so we would like to possibly do some grain, grass-fed beef. We got some guys in our church that does that. They raise it. I raise some, but to have it optional, somebody can, I think it would be good. So we don't know exactly where it will grow to, but we're just trying to get something started.
It's going to grow to big things.
Yeah.
I say D, all of the above. It can do all of the above.
And you want it to do that. I just like the fact that the community can be a part of it.
Yes.
And make it a friendly stop. These guys go into the lake and stop and get tomatoes and onions and stuff to cook out, and then they'll see other things. Art, crafts, things like that. I got a brother-in-law that's got a super amount of pecan trees. So you have pecans. I like that honey, got to get it in here.
He's very big on the honey.
What do you guys?
We're the Muskogee County Master Gardeners.
Oh.
So we're here for we're getting educational hours.
We master gardeners, we bow to the.
We're learning. We're here learning all the tricks and tips. Garden hacks.
Yeah, we had Able Veg out 2 years in a row, once a month, and she taught us a lot about bugs, good bugs, bad bugs, compost, all of that stuff, basket planting and everything. So we take in a lot of knowledge, but to implement that is quite a task. So you just get out there with all that information, you start going everywhere. And you got to settle back into your ground, your land, what grows best here. We tried some things in the garden this year from a master gardener that grew in his backyard, and he had everything great. 60-pound cabbage. 60-pound cabbage. And so he said, we'll set you up for the tomato plants, and we'll use the little winches that you see out there to winch it up, and as they grow, they'll grow it. Well, that's good in the backyard, but out here in the open, when we got that wind and everything, those storms, doesn't work quite as well. But we learned that, but it's in a more confined area, not so open. those things work. But so we having to experiment with some things. And the plastic culture is good, and then it wasn't so good for our watermelons. They just got about this big, and then the heat hit, and you got plastic culture, that black plastic, it gets hot, you know, so it's not so good for watermelons. So we got them over there. I'm not showing you the watermelons because they're not.
The little ones were good. They were good.
Yeah. So we plan to extend out there a little bit more and prep that and get that ready because we want it to grow. We want it to grow.
Anyone else? Any questions, comments? Anything? Our t-shirts are for sale. They are $20. We have our canned goods that are also for sale. The big cans are $10. The jams and jellies are $8. So if you want to purchase, you definitely can.